beautiful Sunday afternoon at Wolf Park, but it's hot for May. The bison are still shedding their winter coats. This one wades in a rainwater puddle to cool off. Even the calves, who are growing their starter coats, look uncomfortable. The seminar folks get a great view from the truck.
Plain bison are the largest land mammal in North America. Therefore, it follows that they are the largest animals that wolves hunt in North America. A typical bull bison can weigh upwards of 2,000 pounds. Our herd bull is relatively new to his position, only having attained it a couple of years ago, and he probably only weighs about 1,400 to 1,600 pounds. It looks like two wolves have been chosen for this afternoon's demonstration. In a wolf pack out in the wild, not all wolves participate in the hunt every single time, and it is not necessarily the highest ranking animals that precedes the hunt. Researchers who have been observing wolves hunting bison for decades have noticed it takes about 3 to maybe 4 wolves who are experienced at hunting to take down a bison. Looks like the female is making a beeline for the calves. Notice how the herd is grouping together. They're not running away from the wolf. They're grouping up together. This circling of the wagon technique is very effective. It puts the defenseless young animals in the middle of the herd, while it's up to the more mature individuals to drive off whatever is threatening them. In this situation, where the bison have grouped up, it's going to be up to the mature animals to either thwart any advances by the wolves, or to leave the safety of the herd and try to drive off any of the wolves that are threatening them.
The wolves take a break and wait for an opportunity. Ayla circles around looking for an opening, but finds an angry cow. She returns, but the bison are alert. On this hot afternoon, the wolves try to enter the corral, where they could cool off in 2 stock tanks full of water. Then the wolves are attracted to a juvenile standing off by herself. Ayla targets the bison's tail as a potential souvenir, while Renki serves as a distraction. Monty closes in to photograph the encounter. Pat and Alistair call the wolves, who by now are quite willing to return home. It's been another unsuccessful hunt for the wolves, and the bison can relax.
Okay, so this here is traditionally called the visual cliff. They've used this to test a whole bunch of different species' ability to perceive depth perception, or to have depth perception. So the purpose of this is to use a consistent pattern to look at it. And on one side, if you put them so that they're equally on both sides here, you can see that one side looks as though it's a very shallow type of step. So it would just be a small little step off here. However, if you look at the other side, it looks as though there's a cliff, which is why it's called the visual cliff. So it's assumed that if the animal can see or have this type of depth perception of it, they should have a side bias to step off to the shallow end rather than the deep end. But we have a piece of plexiglass here across the entire area, so that it doesn't actually matter which end they step off to, they still step onto a solid ground. So we keep testing them 3 times a day, and we're waiting until they have a consistent side bias to move to the shallow end rather than the deep end. And then we can say that they have finally seen it or have the type of depth perception needed for this task.
Nathan and Kathryn try to feed the smallest pup, but she's a very finicky eater.
Don't bite your feet. What are you doing? Like that.
Okay.
Keep going?
Yep.
Excellent. Good girl. You should go now.
I think she's got the clock.
Sometimes it takes both humans and all her litter mates to convince her to start.
Smack your sister. Dope. Okay, bubbles? Or those just foam bubbles?
No, those are bubbles.
Okay, great.
She's taking it.
Excellent. Yeah, now we're golden. Now we're golden, baby. Breathe.
I don't know why you choke yourself doing this. There you go.
Recording. Stop it. Mine.
But once she begins, she is very enthusiastic. She is starting to consume as much formula as the other pups,
Okay, don't breathe.
but she still needs a lot of attention and has some catching up to do.
She's hungry.